Hi, let's discuss and illustrate how maps can be used, specifically the maps that can be produced from a Geographic Information System, or GIS, can be used to enhance value or add value. Basically, the idea is that maps add value. What do I mean by value? I mean that maps enhance our understanding of people, places, phenomena, patterns, etc. And specifically, we're going to be looking at a historical figure, and we're going to examine how maps can be used in a typical academic or school project to enhance our understanding of that particular historical figure. Let's get started. Picture your typical poster that a student is required to produce on any topic. In this case, on Harriet Tubman, 1820 to 1913. Notice I've covered up the student's name so she won't be embarrassed that we're showing off her poster. But the neat thing about this is that, you've got text boxes, you've got photographs, and that sort of thing, a timeline, as many of these show. But notice at the bottom of this particular poster. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that. Notice how the student was trying to illustrate effectively the free states, the slave states, and the slaves' escape routes of Harriet Tubman's time. And so the student actually was able to put a map in here from a Geographic Information System, specifically ArcGIS. The student basically got a states and territories map from 1860 and then drew on that in a digital environment the main routes of escape, and also color-coded based on an attribute in the attribute table behind the map. Remember, a GIS is not just a graphic, it's actually a smart database. It's a geodatabase is what it is. But the student has also labeled states and given a north arrow there, and very effective, simple but powerful illustration of how a map can enhance this particular study. Now notice over here that the student has changed the scale. The student has changed the scale to zoom in to a larger scale. In this case, just looking at sort of the mid-Atlantic states. And so the student has done that so that certain incidents in Harriet's life can be highlighted but shown on the map so that the reader of this entire poster has a better understanding of where these events took place and when, and why the where component is so significant here. So as you can see, zooming out once more, these maps are a very effective component of this overall poster. What's more, these maps are digital, so they can be used inside a web page, they can be used inside any sort of digital document, meaning a PowerPoint presentation, a Word file, even a movie. So these maps are more than just graphic outputs. Since they're in digital form, you can use them in a variety of other ways. I hope you'll agree with me that this kind of thing is quite easy to do, and is quite powerful and enhances the understanding of the involvement that this important historical person had on a whole bunch of things in society. So thanks for being here with me as we examine an illustration of how maps can enhance a poster presentation like this, but also go a lot deeper. Thanks. I hope I've illustrated for you that maps definitely add value to a project such as this. Maps increase our awareness. They add to our understanding, in this case, of the connections between history and geography. And they can be scaled. They can be changed as far as their symbology and the themes that they're illustrating. Plus, as you've seen, maps created from a Geographic Information System are remarkably easy to do and easy to produce. Thanks, Harriet Tubman. One night I dreamed I was in slavery, about 1850 was the time. Sorrow was the only sign, nothing around to ease my mind. Out of the night appeared a lady leading a distant pilgrim band. First mate she yelled, pointing her hand, "Make room on board for this young woman. Come on up, I got a lifeline. Come on up to this train of mine. Come on up, I got a lifeline. Come on up to this train of mine." She said her name was Harriet Tubman, and she drove for the Underground Railroad. Hundreds of miles we traveled onward, gathering slaves from a town to town, seeking every lost and found, setting those free who once were bound. Somehow my heart was growing weaker, I fell by the wayside, sinking sand. Firmly did this lady stand, lifted me up and took my hand, singing, "Come on up, I got a lifeline. Come on up to this train of mine. Come on up, I got a lifeline. Come on up to this train of mine." She said her name was Harriet Tubman, and she drove for the Underground Railroad. Who are those children dressed in red? They must be the ones that Moses led, singing, "Come on up, I got a lifeline. Come on up to this train of mine. Come on up, I got a lifeline. Come on up to this train of mine." She said her name was Harriet Tubman, and she drove for the Underground Railroad.